and welcome to Just Kampers. In this video I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a chrome window surround trim on a T2 bay window camper. First thing we've got to do is take the door panel off. To remove the interior door panel, it's a relatively simple job. We have a screw either side here on the pull handle, a screw located in the release handle, and a screw hidden under this cover for our window winder. Some have a hidden screw behind a small panel here that you have to pop out with a screwdriver first. This one doesn't. We've got access to the Phillips screw straight away. We'll start by removing these Phillips screws either side of the pull handle. Next we have the screw through into our release handle. Off that comes. And to pop this cover off, we just gently ease it from either side with either a screwdriver or this is a proper panel tool. There we go. And then we can access the screw. That's it. Okay, then all we need to do is start popping the panel off. We need to be quite careful because this can be quite delicate. If the membrane behind here has either been taken off or it's split, then sometimes these door cars become very delicate and they get a bit wavy. So we have to be careful that we don't break them when we remove them. So we take our panel tool. As you can see, this has still got a membrane on the door. It's a plastic membrane that keeps the moisture that side of the door and away from the inside of the vehicle. Now when these split, or they're not even on there, so it can either damage the door card and make them really wavy and let water inside the car too. So that's really good that that's still in good condition. So we're going to gently peel this off. So the next step in removing the outside surround trim, we need to remove this frame here. There's a 10mm bolt through here. So we're going to remove that first. Now it could be quite rusty, so we're going to go tight first and then back it out. See if we can get a little bit of movement, not a lot because we don't want to snap it off, but just a little bit. It's really stubborn, you may have to work it back and forth a few times, or get a bit of spray in there, get a bit of maintenance or penetrating spray. That's actually not too bad. And when we put this back, we'll put that back with a bit of copper grease. Right, the frame undone. Next is we'll drop the window and there's a screw in the top. To gain access to the screw that's under here, we need to be able to take this weather strip out. Now this is part of the weather strip that goes all the way around that the glass slides up into. Now you can pop it out with a screwdriver or a hook if you've got a hook. Again, we need to be quite careful, so the hook needs to go up above the weather strip and then we gently prise it down like so. And then we can use a flat bladed screwdriver, go on the top and undo the clip go. I should pull the clip down. Now we're replacing this part anyway, and we're replacing this outer part as well. So we can now pull that down. So the clips are probably quite rotten as well. There we go, yeah. And then we can get to our Phillips screw, which is up underneath there. Just grab a screwdriver. So again, hopefully this is going to come undone, and then undo it, lovely. I was worried that I wasn't going to come undone then, but that did. Again, when we put this back, we'll put it back with a bit of copper grease. Should allow us to start movement of that frame now. Yep. Okay. I should be able to remove the rest of this weather strip trim. So again, they're on the clips. Ooh. Ooh. Tight, came out. I should be able to lift that out. It doesn't go very far down. It supports the glass on the way down, but not all the way. Okay, that's that. Pretty old and manky. Next job is to remove the glass off the window regulator. So we can just wind them up a touch. There's two 10mm bolts that hold the glass to the regulator. Okay, we're going to go tight first because they haven't been undone for a while. Take those right out. And then we're going to lift the glass up, push it towards the front of the door and that will get it off of the regulator. We can allow the glass to come down. Obviously gently because we don't want to scratch or damage the glass. And then we can push it back this way. There we go. So it's on the bottom of the door and it's against the back of our runner this side. That just gives us a little bit more room at the front to be able to remove this front part of the Quarterlight. We're going to pop a little bit of tape across the top of this door frame. Reason being is once the Quarterlight comes out, it's going to come this way and out this way. We don't want to sort of scratch the paintwork. I've got some cross reinforced tape here. This is pretty sticky, so again we have to be careful of the old paint that we don't pull the old paint off with the tape. So what I normally do is I just run it across my trousers. That picks up a little bit of fluff and makes it less sticky, but it does still stick enough. So when we're pulling our Quarterlight out, it's got to come back out this way and up and out. Also, the fixing that goes through this way, the 10mm that we took out of this hole, part of that fixing needs to go up and come back this way because it won't just come straight out as it hooks under. Hence why we've moved the glass back as far as possible to allow a little bit of movement. Now, it's very difficult to get that movement through these rubbers as well. Obviously, we're replacing the outer trim with the new rubber. The inner one we want to save, so I'm going to spray a little bit of maintenance spray on there, and hopefully that'll help with a little bit of lubrication to bring it through. Maintenance spray or silicone spray or anything like that, just to give it a little bit of slip, and that'll help us come past the rubber and not damage the rubber. Also, the little clip that the screw goes through, the bracket, sorry, that the screw goes through for this, sometimes you might have to give it a little tweak down to clear this top part of the door. I'm going to do that anyway. With my screwdriver, I'm going to go up just gently, only a tiny bit. That's it. So when we pull it forward, that bracket doesn't butt up against the top part of the door. It's dropped down slightly so it can come through. Put spray in there. Right, good. So we're clear there. Now it is very tight on that rubber. So I think I'm probably going to remove this rubber trim. So put him back. Down behind the clips with the flat blade screwdriver, just gently tease it out. So you may want to replace your inner seal, but we're going to try and preserve this one. They are only on little spring clips. Quite easily pried out with the screwdriver from behind. It's a bit fiddly. Obviously we've got to be careful of our glass that's still in there. Okay, so the next step is to remove this clip here. So we can pull the Quarterlight this way. It's just going to get in the way if we don't remove this clip. Now that pushes back that way and drops out. So we'll get that done. Pop it back that way out of its little clip. Okay, now, there we go. Right, next step is to pull our Quarterlight out. And with the use of a filler spreader, I'm going to tuck that down between our frame and our rubber, because our rubber is just hanging up a bit. Slide it in like that. Hopefully should allow it to come past this funky old rubber. Okay. So that was a bit more fiddly than usual. It's because this rubber on the outer side has gone really hard and started to deteriorate, and was stopping the frame come back that way. Use of the filler spreader card, that helped. So good, that's that out. So we can pop that on the bench. The next step is to remove our outer trim, which is the part we're replacing. I removed one of these clips from up the top here. There's 5 in total, so we've got 4 left. So let's pop these out. Again, same deal, see which way they go, which is they'll be pushed in from that way. So all 5 clips out. This bottom part of the trim is pushed in very similar clips to the door panel actually, which are just a push-in sprung clip. Again, we may have to get our tool between the trim and the door. It's been here a long time, I think. You can hear those clips are pretty old and rusty. Now, remove that trim. We lift that out, and we lift it out in one. And there you go, you can see the types of clips we got, quite manky, aren't they? And when removing these clips with a screwdriver, just be very careful if you're not used to doing this type of work. Try and, if you're using a screwdriver to loosen the clip, try and do it away from you. If you're doing it towards you, then obviously be very careful or use a pair of safety specs, because you don't really want a screwdriver in the eye. So that's the door edge nicely cleaned up, ready to receive the new trim. Also on the top of the door, I've put a line of tape. Now I put that line of tape there is just to protect the paintwork when we're putting our new trim in, because that can be quite scratchy and scratch the paint, so we don't want to do that. So over to the table and I'll show you what we've got. On this side of the table we have the parts that we've removed from our van. So this is the original surround trim. The reason we're removing that is because the scraper part of it is literally non-existent now. It's so old. Our clips, they all came out. And this is a complete Quarterlight assembly. We are going to change this felt channel strip here. So on this side of the table is the new stuff. Lovely new surround trim with a very lovely new scraper rubber, the felt channel that's going to go down the back of the Quarterlight assembly, and this is our new window channel that goes across the top of the door and down the back. So first things first, we need to get our chrome trim in place. So this can be a bit fiddly, so we'll take our time with this, but we don't want to kink it. We don't want to kink this at all. A little handy hint when fitting these surrounds, these push clips, when you've got the trim in the vehicle, you can't actually see where they are. So on the back, I've drawn with a permanent marker exactly where those clips are. So I can push on the correct part of the trim and push the clip in without causing a bend or a kink in the front part of the trim. We're almost ready to fit our trim. Next little step is we're going to take a little dab of grease, and these are going to go in the holes where our clips go into, our 5 holes along there. Now you can either use a bit of wax, or I like to use a little bit of grease because it helps the clip slip in there and it helps from protection from corrosion as well. So not a lot, just a tiny little bit. We don't want grease all over the glass everywhere, but there are more than 5 holes, so I'm going to grease up every single hole because I don't know which ones line up with which yet. Before we start to even attempt to put the trim in, our glass is loose in the door at the moment. Obviously we haven't got any window channels in. I'm going to move the glass gently all the way to the front of the door. That gives us some room to be able to get the clips in at the rear of our trim, and then we can move the glass back and do the others. So we're going to get our clips lined up with the holes in the door and just start bringing them through, not push them home, get the tips of them located. Just gently move that glass back now we've got this corner in. So it's these last 2 clips I need to get in. Gently get that trim inside the door. Again, can be a bit fiddly. You might want another pair of hands. Sometimes I'll put a bit of tape around the top to help. We've got our glass moved forward. We need to make sure we've got the glass and the trim away from each other. So if the glass is stuck under the trim, we won't be able to get the trim on. The glass needs to be this side of the trim. It can be a little bit tricky. We can now start putting our securing clips in. These clips actually secure the window channel once we get it in. And they also help to keep the chrome surround towards the front of the door. So let's put our first clip in. These are new, we've replaced these. You can use your old ones if they're in good condition. That's our chrome trim surround fitted with all the clips, all in place. So quite a tricky job. On the level of frownness, I probably would say 4 out of 5. A little bit of concentration needed. Anyhow, we got it in and it looks great. While our Quarterlight assembly is out, it would be silly not to change the rubber, as this is quite an old original rubber also. So to change this rubber, there's a nice soft one here, we have to drill out this rivet at the top here and then undo a 10mm bolt here and then take the glass assembly out, and then we can change the rubber and then put it back with a new rivet. So the tricky bit is obviously drilling our rivet out without damaging our glass or our chrome frame. So I'll show you how to do that now. I've covered our Quarterlight in some handy cardboard and a bit of tape, obviously to protect the glass front and rear. And then it's sat in a vise, not very tight, with this down on top of the vise, and we're going to drill from the bottom and drill that rivet out. So I've got a 5mm drill bit, and hopefully we can't get dead straight on it, but we can. So we're only trying to take off the splayed over part of the rivet, not go all the way through yet. So that's nearly there. I might have to take a chisel just see if we can gently knock that off. So our glass removed from our frame. We have still got a little bit of a rivet in the frame that we need to drill out. Come to that in a minute, but that's all good and ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is change our rubber. So this is pretty old and hard here. So we've got a nice new one to go in. So let's get this one out first. Right, that's that bit out. Also, we're going to change this channel as well, so we might as well dig that out while we're here. Again, that's been in forever, so I don't know how easy that will be to come out. We're going to have to try and slide a screwdriver down the back. That's pretty well in there. I think that's been glued in as well. That's going to take a little bit of getting out, that one. So we're going to push away from ourselves with the screwdriver because we don't want to stick that in our hand. Yeah, it's been glued in as well, which is a bit of a shame, so we've got a bit of cleaning up to do. There we go, right. As you see, there's a little bit of glue left in there we're going to have to clean up as well. We've cleaned up all the old glue and we're ready to put the new seal in. It's a modern type seal. The old one had a metal piece through it. This is quite a nice piece of rubber. trim that to length because we don't need that extra length in it. Use my handy filler spreader again, just to make sure that that seal is seated back into that frame nicely. So over to the vise, we'll do it again. We'll use our magic cardboard and we can just gently drill through and get rid of that rivet. So in the vise, I'm using a 3.2mm drill bit. I'm able to get a good line up on that now because the glass is out. So we're going to see if we can drill that rivet out. With the rivet now drilled out, we can now fit our new rubber because our new rubber passes over this part of the bracket. He's got a little slit in him, so we pass him through and then we just gently feed this into the frame. You have to be patient because it takes a little while. So I got it finished. It took a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, but we've got it sat in nicely. There is a little point to mention that it's worth pulling out this rubber that goes up and down here as well, just in the corners to allow our new rubber to sit in, and then I push that in afterwards. With the help of either a little bit of soapy water or a bit of maintenance spray, something that's going to dry out after a while, a little bit of silicone spray, same sort of thing, does help to get it sat in place. If you haven't got any of that, then maybe a little bit of furniture polish, something like that, just to give it a little bit of slippiness. So we're in, we can put our Quarterlight window back in, and then we can get our new rivet in and get that pinned over. On the other part of the bracket, just because this rotates, so a little bit of grease in there, or copper grease, whatever you prefer. We can put our bolt back in that holds the clamp. Again, I've put a little bit of copper grease on there, just to aid it, stop it corroding. That's good. So we should be able to open and close our Quarterlight now. We have it, open and closing. So the next thing, as I say, we need to get that rivet put in and pinned over. So I've got our Quarterlight window back in the vise with our good old friend Mr. Cardboard on it. I've turned it upside down because I'll push the rivet through and I want to splay that rivet over. So I'm going to use a piece of wood for that rivet head to sit on. Reason being is that I don't want to damage the head of the rivet and change the shape of it, because you'll see that. So using a piece of wood will stop that. And then we're going to use either a centre punch or a slightly rounded punch to tap down and actually splay that rivet open. Again, a bit of patience is needed, and you need to make sure that you've got a little bit of pressure down on the head of the rivet as well. Once we've got a good start on our rivet and we've started to splay it open, we can finish off. I've got a little piece of aluminium here, so I can stick the bottom of the rivet on the aluminium, so it's a bit more solid than the wood now because we're finishing off. And then we can just use a hammer, Okay, pretty happy with that. It's looking good. Before we put our Quarterlight window back in, we need to put this inner trim back on. So this goes on the inside of our door. Much the same deal as the outer one, although these have got like a softer spring type clip. So we get these lined up and then get these pushed on, and then we can get our Quarterlight window back in. So this is the inner strip. I just wanted to show you the clips. As I say, that's the clip through the strip. I've taken it out so we can see a bit more clearly, but to fit these, they're a little bit fiddly, but I found if you push on this side first and then that side, they pop in quite easily, but you do have to secure this right hand side of the clip first. So that dogleg part goes in last. So the time has come to refit our Quarterlight. We've obviously got a nice new rubber on this side and the rubber's back on this side. It's quite tight getting back in through those two rubbers, so I'm going to put some grease in there. We can clean it off afterwards, but this will help us get that Quarterlight in and slid underneath with our bracket. I'll put a bit of grease on the bottom of the Quarterlight channel as well, so it should now fall in. Yeah, right. Okay, these are a bit of a wiggle and they are very tight on the rubbers, so try and splay the rubbers out. Rubber is sat on the outside. Push, okay, and then our screw hole lines up back into the door. Good stuff, and we must remember to wipe that grease off, otherwise we'll end up with it all over our glass. So a quick degrease of the rubber. There we go. Next step is to put our screw back in that secures our Quarterlight frame to the door. This is our old window channel, and I've used that as a pattern to bend our new window channel. As you can see, there we go. That's ready to go. So I'm going to feed the back part of it in first. Our glass is forward into the front of this channel at the moment, so we should be able to get this over the glass and down through the channel. start at the back. Again, you may have to display the rubber at the back here so we can get it started. Okay, next step is to get the glass back on the regulator and get it up and down into our channels. We can now remove our protective tape we had on. I'm going to lift the window back up into the channels. I think we're there, but I'm going to make sure that we can come up past the window regulator first. I have our original bolts with a bit of copper grease on this time. Now you will have original witness marks from where the glass was bolted to the regulator. This may change now because we've obviously put a new window channeling in front and all the way around. I'm just going to put it in where they line up naturally first and see how the window goes up and down. Comes up, it's quite nice and even, and it goes in there lovely. So the next job, we're going to lubricate the regulator while we're off, while we've got the door panel off. This is our window regulator cable that runs up and down inside this tube. Now this tube is split at the back and it's open all the way around to our winding handle, so we can feed some grease in all the way around. Even with the glass in all the way up to the top, you can just get your fingers in and get some grease in. So I'm going to lubricate that cable now. Got our door panel off. It gives us access to inside the door. I think we're going to hoover this out and then we're going to wax oil it while we've got our door panel off. So that's our next little job. Our last bolt to go in before we put our door panel on is our last securing bolt for our Quarterlight window. So again, a bit of copper grease. That's our new chrome surround trim fitted, also our new Quarterlight rubber fitted. For more how-to videos, follow us on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, and check us out at justkampers.com. Thanks for watching.